Red Riding Hood. You sure are looking good. You're everything a big bad wolf could want. Listen to me, Little Red Riding Hood. I don't think little big girls should go walking in these spooky old woods alone.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Hero Movie Podcast, your greatest source for superhero movie discussion in the multiverse. I am your host, Adam Portress, and joining me today, he was Casper Van Dien's stunt double in Beastmaster 3, Sweet Sean Kovacs from the internet.
You know, whenever I cover my body in silver paint, everyone just thinks I'm a meth head.
And his spirit animal is none other than Mike Cara, Bruce Leslie.
I'm a prickly pear, and if it's not the Brothers Grimm, then it's probably Hans Christian Andersen, which is the movie I'm working on, is Anderson Avengers.
The Andersons, the Avengers Andersonville.
It's got the Little Mermaid, it's got the Ice Queen, and I don't know, silver shoes or something. I can't remember any Hans Christian. I got to do some research.
Yeah, I'm not sure about all that either. But what I am sure about is the people over at patreon.com/HMP every single month get a chance to vote. And this month, they have picked for us Avengers Grimm from 2015.
Grimm Avengers.
According to the IMDb, and everyone,
My title card said Avengers Grimm.
Oh.
Avengers Grimm, everybody sits there and just goes, Sean is wrong.
So Avengers Grimm.
Avengers Grimm.
There you go. Avengers Grimm it is.
It is quite...
And it's definitely grim.
Yeah.
I call right now false advertising. I want my money back because there was no thing in it.
What Grimm story does the thing come from? Come on now.
In Grimm.
Oh, shut up. I hate your guts. All right, let's but patreon.com/HMP. If you'd like to be somebody that tortures us like these fine folks, head on over there and just remember, if you want to, promote anything or whatever, like we're here for you guys as well. So if you're, $20 above, just tell us something. We'll shout you out on the next week's show here, which is going to be a big one, listened by a whole bunch of people. So if you want to have your, any of your projects, any of your stuff out there, drop on over to the Patreon, sign up, throw us a little bit of money, and hey, and of course the information, because otherwise, I'm not just going to know that off the top of my head. So patreon.com/HMP. We will thank all of those fine folks big time coming up next week. Patreon.
And we've got a new Patreon member.
Oh, indeed we do. I totally forgot that we had that. Sean, What do we got?
So Laura McMillions, that became a big old thing. Her last name can't be McMillions. Like that sort of thing. We were going back and forth about that. Yes. This is a typo. You gave us that kind of thing. So, and it turns out that Laura's last name is McMillions.
Yeah. Husband's name is McMillions.
And I did a half-ass internet research on this. And it turns out that McMillion is a Scottish name. It is Scottish. It means son of the bald one.
I love it.
Isn't it great? So, Laura, your new HMP brand spanking new nickname is going to be Daughter of the Bald One.
Oh my, that's great. So put it on your resume. Let everybody know that that's who you are. We'll back you up if they have any kind of misgivings about that. We'll front
and
for
also, Laura, I'm going to warn you. Look out for those Buchanans, because I read a whole thing about how the Buchanan clan claims that the McMillian clan is actually part of their clan and not their own. You're not in part of your own clan. It's a whole thing. So you look out.
Kind of beef like Scottish beef.
You look out for those Buchanans.
Scottish beef is cooked in intestine.
There can be only one McMillion.
So if you'd like to be like Laura and all of our other fine folks, head on over to patreon.com/HMP. And if you can't afford to support the show monetarily, always jump over there and give us a 5-star review on iTunes, a.k.a. Humdinger.
Humdinger.
Well over 200 of those reviews right now, so it's always kind of fun to go back and read those. All right, let's get into it, boys. Here is the trailer for Avengers Grimm.
The others are coming to stop you.
Coming from the cold. The skies turn. 'cause we won't lose a queen will rise again. Queen will rise again. In the end.
All right, that was the trailer for Avengers Grimm, and they only had one trailer. That was it. And I think it's actually very indicative of the film because they were like, let's have as little dialogue in this as possible because if people find out there are words in this movie, they're not going to watch it. You know what time it is.
It's time for Bruce's Comic Book Connection.
Oh, what do we got here?
Well, Iron John, or as I like to call him, Iron John. He's a character from German fairy tales who appeared in the Brothers Grimm tale number 136. Most people see the story as a parable about a boy maturing into adulthood. But Iron John's tale goes thusly. A king sends a huntsman into a forest nearby, and the huntsman never returns. The king then sends more huntsmen into the forest, where none of them return. The king sends all of his remaining huntsmen out as a group, but again, none of them return. The king proclaims the woods as dangerous and off limits. Then a few years later, a new hunter and his dog go into that exact same forest. And guys, the dog dies. I love this story. This is such a good story. So the hunter comes back the next day and he finds a naked man with iron-like skin and long shaggy hair all over his body. He captures him. He's locked in a cage. Oh, by the way, the guy in the cage is Iron John. So a few years later, Iron John convinces a young prince to let him out of the cage, and they run off into the woods together, as creepy old men in cages and young boys are known to do.
It happens.
The boy manages to turn his hair into gold somehow using a magic well, and this makes Iron John angry. Then Iron John turns the kid into some kind of super knight. He catches a bunch of apples, and he gets to marry Princess. At the wedding, Iron John appears as a normal-looking man because somehow the curse was broken. Yeah. This isn't one of your more popular fairy tales for a reason. It's kind of all over the place, much like Lou Ferrigno's performance. And of course, Lou Ferrigno may be the only living actor to play both the Hulk and Iron John. So that's a thing to know now. And speaking of hairy men trapped naked in a cage, Adam, do you have a list?
I'm not that hairy. If that comic connection wasn't enough for you, let me sell everybody on this asylum monstrosity because this movie has everything. It has the Avengers, kind of, but not really. This movie was brought to you by Big Chain Link Fence. Need something to separate people or throw out of focus so it looks cool? Chain Link. Get on it. Rumpelstiltskin, as played by Casper Van Dien, wearing a King and I robe. We got Snow White in a low back strappy dress with a choker, completing that 90s look, which is awesome. We got a man cosplaying as a wolf who makes Dave Bautista look like Laurence Olivier. We've got the CW presents Little Red Riding Hood in a barroom brawl, Sleeping Beauty that puts you to sleep. Lou Ferrigno showing us that the producers of The Incredible Hulk absolutely could have done Smart Hulk and no one would have batted an eye. We got Poor Man's Bill Moseley, sets that'll make you ask, is that a green screen? I think that's green screen. Might be green screen. Scenes that'll make you ask, does that director ever say cut? These actors look like they're at the end of the scene and the director got caught up in all the movie magic that is Avengers Grimm and forgot to say cut. We got an oh no that puts Sonic to shame. We got pretty girls calling others peasants, mid-price sports car, growling noises, girls that can't throw punches, Dutch angles galore, ill-fitting costumes, a dope magic is real graffiti tag. That was awesome. Pipes in hallways, fat crackheads. We've got we've got dimension hopping, arrow shooting, black eyes giving, a grenade rolling, shotgun blasting, hair twirling, rooftop fighting, LA River tussling. Great lines like, it's a monster in the skin of a man, and all the better to kill you with, and Rumpelstiltskin must die, and blow little piggy, you're gonna die, and if it gets 1 degree colder in here, ... And one of my favorites ones is there is no John, only Zool. Okay, I made up that last part there, but you get the idea. And in a line that sums up the whole movie given to us by Sleeping Beauty that really encapsulates the whole debacle, ready for nap time? This movie's got everything.
Wow. Yeah, that was pretty comprehensive list there, Adam.
That was pretty great.
That's what this movie consists of. That's why I want people to, we'll put it this way, entertain the idea of watching this movie.
No, really don't. There's no reason to see this movie.
Now, we all knew that this thing existed. This thing got a little like, I don't know, social media buzz as a gag or something when it came out. People are like, look at this. But did either of you guys kind of have any idea what it was about?
The only way that I knew a little bit about it, with obviously the Grimm stuff being in there, and then someone mentioning that it was done with the Grimm's fairy tales kind of thing. Like, outside of that, I knew nothing. Honestly, when Lou Ferrigno was there, I was like, do what now?
Yeah. The only thing that I knew about it was after we had seen the Russian Avengers movie, it kept getting put up. It got into my feed somehow.
You like this garbage, you'll like this garbage as well.
Right. But the garbage of the Russian Avengers movie is my kind of garbage. Like I love that movie with a blinding passion is how much I love that movie. And that is how much I hate this.
I didn't realize that this was all female protagonists. And that's not a good thing or a bad thing, but just like my preconceived notion was they were going to really try to match up one-to-one fairy tale characters with each role in the Avengers. I didn't know that it was going to give it the once upon a time twist where basically all our heroes are princesses.
This is the note that I wrote down. With the princesses, the makers of this movie were clearly going for a craft vibe, but it's more like there's 4 JCPenney catalog models with eating disorders.
Oh man, harsh.
That's what it is, because there isn't an actor amongst them, and
I think the blonde girl could get some work outside of this realm.
The Snow White character specifically. Frowny Face, Miss Frowny Face McGee herself.
Everything is one of these. Here's how you're listening to everything that I say. Enjoy.
And I'm making a scowly, angry face with literally every line where I'm angry. I'm very angry. I'm always angry.
I don't like it.
And I'm going to be honest. It was pretty easy to keep track of Rapunzel with the big brass ball on her braid that she whacked people in the head with. Like that, she got that straight from Glengarry Glen Ross, I guess. And then it was kind of easy to keep straight Red Riding Hood because she had on a red riding hood.
Yeah.
But then the rest, I was like, now which is this Sleeping Beauty or Cinderella?
That is, I had to break out the IMDb. Yeah. To go like, who is this again?
Yeah. And that's what I did too. Which one is this?
And there was a part of me that kind of kept hoping, like, because it is Asylum, that maybe the actor of color would have been Snow White just because they have really bad taste, but that didn't turn out to be the case.
No.
Listen, they got bad. It's just bad taste all around. Don't worry about any one specific
thing. It's not even about bad taste. It's about it feels to me watching this movie that there wasn't a single person involved with the making of this movie who cared about what they were doing.
I don't. Yeah, maybe. Because, I love bad movies that is just like someone's, like it took 100% of their essence to make this terrible movie.
Right.
I like that. This does not feel like that.
It doesn't have that feel to it. This is a absolutely soulless.
Yeah, there's a corporate template that Asylum cranks these out. And it kind of made me think, like, I wonder if I could get a job as a freelance screenwriter for Asylum. Are they still making movies?
Oh, yeah.
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 I wonder how hard that gig is to get. It's probably darn near impossible.
It's not. You just would have to
prize winners or something.
You would just have to do it for free.
Can you get up to a 90-page count?
Why would you do it for free?
That's literally how you would get into their. It's the same. It's the same thing with the Toxic Avenger guy. Like, he is more than willing to give you the work. You just have to be willing to do it for free, and I can
do it for free for myself.
And you don't start at director. Like you have to go up through the ranks.
So are you ready to head on down to some Asylum and start pulling some cable? Because
no, man, I just want to be a screenwriter. I work from home.
If you worked from Asylum, I think they would have to downgrade your home. You know what I'm saying? It's just like they'd walk in real quick and then be like, "Ooh, this is too nice."
This is one of those work from home positions where, most of them we send you a free computer, but for this job you have to send us a computer.
I don't know when the last one was, but their big franchise right now is Mega Shark, I want to say.
Yeah, I guess the salad days of Sharknado are in the rearview mirror now.
Yes, and
That was the heyday. I like the most cash that have ever flowed through Asylum had to be the Sharknado era.
Oh, are they is Sharknado Asylum?
That I'm not 1,000% sure on.
I would stake my honor on it, but that's not much. I'm not going to bet money.
Yeah, you don't want to like put too much into it. But
so I know that we don't want to talk about this movie at all, but
I could talk about it.
There's
Go ahead.
I got some stuff.
Okay, well, hit me with one of your stuff.
I like it because they're going for the Avengers model that they had to give everybody a superpower. And I like it that Rapunzel's makes sense. Rapunzel's famous for her big old long hair, so they weaponized her hair by putting like a kind of like a duck pin bowling ball on the end of her hair that she could hit. But then
after my heart.
And of course, like Red Riding Hood, make her an archer, bow and arrow, make her the Hawkeye type, the Katniss Everdeen type. Sure, why not? Give her a bow and arrow, that works. But then they're like, so let's see, Sleeping Beauty. Well, we won't give her sleeping powers, but like in the fairy tale, the sleeping powers were used against her.
If she just falls asleep, then the movie's over.
And then they're like, Snow White has snow in her name, so we're going to let her be able to make things cold because snow is cold.
This girl brings out an ice dagger to stab somebody. Yeah. All right, that's kind of fun.
And for a minute, I thought, she's supposed to be Elsa. Then I remembered Elsa is Hans Christian Andersen.
I also thought there was going to be. I thought they were going to sing "Let It Go" at some point. Honest to goodness.
And then, what was Cinderella's power? She should be able to turn things into pumpkins and mice into soldiers and stuff. Did she have a power? I don't remember her power, but she make force fields or something.
I can't remember.
I'm trying to remember what she even looks like. That's the thing. They needed an X-Files writer on this where people were calling each other by their names because none of that was happening. I'm like, there's when you're building stories and stuff like this, you want to have this world, this kind of lived-in world and everything where you can walk in and it feels like it's been churning forever. That's always good, but at the same time, too, you need to let people know something. This movie starts running and like they give you no backstory, no nothing. You're just supposed to kind of, put it all together from what you've seen. But the unfortunate part is that isn't written very well.
Well, and let's go from there because first of all, they have the He-Man movie problem where it starts in a world where all this stuff is happening and it looks like something really cool is going on there. And then immediately they flash to Earth.
We got to pack it up and head to New York City because
so that right off the bat is you're doing it wrong. Like it's the thing that also happened in that Bourne Identity movie where Jason Bourne isn't in it, where everyone keeps talking about how awesome Jason Bourne is and he's not in the movie is what they're doing here as well. We're like, his massive hordes of monsters kept coming at us just over and over again. And we never, they were unrelenting, but thank God we're in this castle right now. We're going to go through that mirror.
It's like that SNL skit about Bill Bratsky or whatever the guy's name was, where all the salesmen are sitting around talking about this legendary.
About how great he is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Biggest man you ever seen. But it does feel like they've kind of just gone, we'd love to have this big magical thing out here. Oh, look at all that stuff. But there are some scenes when in other movies where people will describe, like Blade Runner, like Blade Runner, the Tears in the Rain speech and everything. You can picture what he's talking about because he's doing a great job of explaining stuff to you. There's a lot of stuff outside and like, well, we don't really all speak with, Well,
the other problem that this movie has is that, if they're telling us everything and not showing us, which, your smaller movies have to do that. I understand that, but at least show us something. And they're literally not giving us anything at all.
Oh boy. Now you're right about that. And I know if you get swept up in all the action and all the like high stakes in this movie, you can look over some plot holes, but I noticed one or two in particular.
That's the Asylum book name, plot holes.
They're kind of subtle. They're kind of subtle, but there's this part where I think it's Red Riding Hood is in jail and Lou Ferrigno's in the cell next to her, and the guard walks away and she just opens her mouth and sticks out her tongue and she has a key on it.
Yeah,
But we
don't you-
never really saw her have an opportunity to lift that key. I think that was just a little too convenient. Like I rewound it. I watched it really closely, the 45 minutes prior to that a few times. And there is no point in there where the director shows us an opportunity she could have taken the key. Like at this point, they should have at least had a flashback that showed her lifting the key off the desk or something, because that just seemed a little too convenient for a tightly wound story.
Yeah. Other than that, though, 5 stars. He's all
Other
of
than that, also, the timeline never got quite explained to me, guys. Did you follow the timeline on this pretty well?
Okay, and as much as what?
Well, like we see Snow White and Rumpelstiltskin go through the mirror. Then it looked to me like immediately the other princesses went through the mirror. But then when they get there, it's like Rumpelstiltskin had been on Earth long enough to set up his empire, and Snow White was this notorious outlaw. So, like, it looked to me like they instantly followed them. But had they been there for 5 or 6 years before the 3 princesses noticed she was gone, or what happened there?
Yeah,
I see what you're saying.
I think it's a time release sort of thing, and like the dimension is also like an oscillating fan at the same time too. So she had to time it just right, and because otherwise it wasn't pointing in the right direction. So once it was pointed back at that direction, a couple of years had passed. You've seen Interstellar, you know how this works.
Zero explanation on that. I was totally lost. And once again, I rewatched that scene 7-8 times. Never could understand it. I dissected this Marvel because I thought I might get paid if I ever wrote a screenplay for Asylum, but I guess
But
not.
now that I know I'm not getting paid, I want to burn it to the ground.
Like, eat beans, Daddy. I'm not working for you.
The guys over at Asylum are just going, oh, shucks.
You missed out because, believe me, if you're into making bad movies, I can write you some bad movies.
You know, your movie is in big trouble when Casper Van Diem is the big presence in your movie.
And frankly, the best actor.
Yes. But I mean, boy, good luck, everybody.
Yeah.
Every time he's on screen, immediately everyone just falls into the background, as they should, because everyone is terrible in this movie. And, you know, I'm willing to give Lou Ferrigno all of the rope in the world, because, you know, I mean, growing up with Lou Ferrigno, you're gonna give him that.
Well, plus you kind of like, I don't know, you have some sympathy for his line delivery because you know he's hearing impaired, so you can't hold him to too high a standard there. Just the fact that he's like willing to do all this stuff at his age, I think is a big plus.
Yeah, and he's still in pretty darn good shape in 2015.
He is. I did the math. He is 65 years old when this movie is released.
Yeah, I was like, my dad don't look like that.
If you've ever seen Pumping Iron, you could say that in the sprint, Arnold Schwarzenegger won, but Ferrigno won the marathon.
Yes, he did.
Better than Schwarzenegger now.
He does.
Yeah, I think that's because Lou doesn't have as much money.
Also, there's all the cocaine. I mean,
that probably,
the fact that Lou wasn't constantly on cocaine like Arnold Schwarzenegger was in the 80s.
Lou was never a governor. I've heard politics takes a toll on a man.
I would like to see Lou Ferrigno.
Is that why Schwarzenegger's hair looks like it's dyed brown now?
Oh, he's had that for a hot minute, because it is that great, I'm now an old white man and I dye my hair and it is not a color that exists in nature. I don't understand that stuff. Him, McCartney, it's like, you're 90 years old, brother. Have a little bit of silver in there. My goodness.
I'd like for Lou Ferrigno to be like governor of Arkansas, like some middle of the road state. Like, I don't want it to be too stressful on him. Like, I want it to be something winnable because no other celebrity wants to be governor of Arkansas, but it still probably pays pretty well.
You guys ever seen Lou Ferrigno in person?
I haven't, but I heard you rode an elevator with him, man.
Yeah, it's like, so I saw him at Dragon Con, and like this one year we had like due to friends of ours, we had a very nice room, top floor of the Marriott and everything. And frankly, that's where all the, muckety mucks kind of hung out. And so like 2 doors down from us was Mitch Pileggi from X-Files. And
shocker.
Yeah, I was going to say, come on, you don't lead with X-Files. His obituary will be Mitch Pileggi from Shocker, who also showed up in X-Files.
And then X-Files was stuff for a little hot minute. But then, so he was on an elevator. Lou Ferrigno was there, and like, so they would go to the gym like early in the morning, like the hotel gym and stuff, and they were talking about like workout routines and like, oh, I do legs on this day and blah 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 stuff. So I don't know. Hey, he seemed like a very nice, affable kind of guy, but not nearly as big as you might think in person. Like, because I don't know, they always shoot him very, very big, and it's like he's a big dude, but he's not like unbelievably big. But I think it's also a Hollywood thing where like a lot of Hollywood people, especially ladies, very small, very petite.
His primary job requirement was just to look big compared to Bill Bixby. As long as he could do that, didn't matter who else he looked big next to.
And can you scream at a couple things and throw a stuffed bear? Well, we can put you.
I would imagine that Bill Bixby can probably fit in a Korean boy small.
I was going to say, a lot of people don't know this. It's like a Hollywood secret, but Bill Bixby, 3 feet 7 inches tall.
Oh, wow.
One of the original guys in
Lollipop
Wizard of
Guild.
Oz. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's just every now and then you just do what you got to do to make some money in Hollywood. If people aren't hiring, you go where the money is.
He got his big break. He was the guy in the Alf suit.
No, I think the guy in the Alf suit was the guy who created Alf. Am I wrong about that?
Oh, there was an actual guy that would get in a suit for some scene.
Well, for that one, I guess I meant the puppet. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, man. I want to do a conspiracy theory video about Alf so bad someday before I die.
Don't make me represent the Lollipop Guild. You wouldn't like me when I have to represent the Lollipop Guild.
Now, Casper Van Dien. Can we talk about, is it Van Dien or Van Diem?
I think it's Van Dien.
Van Dien.
So I feel like he had a real big crossroads in his career right after Starship Troopers. And I feel like somehow he chose the wrong direction. Like Starship Troopers was a modest success. It had stars in it. You know, I think that it had enough cachet that I thought maybe Casper Van Dien, I mean, I never thought he was going to necessarily be A-list. But when you look over his filmography, the only like thing that I saw that was anywhere near Starship Troopers was when he made like Starship Troopers 4 or something. Like, I don't know. Cause he's not a bad actor. He's not a bad looking guy. I don't understand how he went from kind of this cool, interesting sci-fi movie to, you know, less interesting fare.
Well, here's your problem. He's got 2 issues. One is that he's not a great actor. He's okay.
Yeah. I think he's serviceable.
Yes. And 2, when he was younger, he was impossibly handsome. Like to the point where
I understand what that's like. It is tough.
Who do you know? Who do you know?
I had a mirror until I turned 15 and mom took it away from me for my own benefit.
I ain't seen that guy since.
He was the kind of like good looking where it was like uncanny valley good looking when he was
like
younger.
What did they make you in a factory where they've like produced handsome people?
And
like,
you know,
he should have got him like one of those not quite network teen soap opera shows. Like he should have got him a Dawson's Creek or something when he was young. Then
well, I think that he came from soap operas. I might be wrong. I might be wrong, but I think I'm right. But you know, you look at him in the dude who played Cyclops and he's in Sonic.
James Marsden.
Yeah, Marsden. Because Marsden and him kind of have that similar thing where when they were both younger, like Marsden, just impossibly handsome. But the difference between the 2 guys is that Marsden is he's your utility player. He can play drama. He's good in comedy. He's a good actor. Like he can play different types of people. They're all handsome, but he can play different types of people. Whereas, you know, Casper Van Dien can't. Like he's more like he like this is my one thing. Like, you know, he's always a little bit scowly. He's not. He doesn't have good timing. You know, maybe that's where he should be going instead of where he is now, because he, you know, now that he's a little bit older, it's not off-putting how handsome he's
got like a nice enough, like he's at a point now where he's got just enough lines and stuff on his face. It's kind of manned him up a little bit instead of the pretty boy, a little bit more of the kind of gruffer guy and everything, but still underneath, still just a real handsome dude. You can tell. Honestly, I think he really just needs better material to work with. I think that may be one of his big problems is that, you know, you put him in like, you know, in like we'll say a Quentin Tarantino movie, that guy's going to just murder it because he's going to have somebody that can craft him well and write him something that is worth doing, to be frank.
Like, I don't think he's saying no to those projects. That's what I'm saying.
Well,
I feel like he should be in a little bit better spot than he is as an actor.
I think we're missing a key component here.
Gambling
which
debts.
is personality. Where he might be someone that
he's just too darn nice for his own good.
Yes, exactly. Everyone's like, "Oh man, I can't act around this guy. He's too nice."
I can imagine young Casper Van Dien when you're that good looking and you got a lot of Hollywood money in your pocket and stuff like that. You could be a little bit of a jerk. I could see it.
You get him and young Gallagher in a room together, and they're unbearable.
Unbearable.
Oh man, can you imagine if he had to play Gallagher in the Gallagher movie?
What if we played?
I would see it. I'd buy that ticket.
Absolutely.
Casper, here's the idea. Young Gallagher.
And this is nothing that any working actor wants to hear, but I feel like he should at least have Billy Zane's level of career.
But Billy Zane is a really good actor. Like that's the difference, is that Billy Zane, again, he can play comedy, he can play drama, he can play different types of people.
Don't ask him to have a really good hair. I don't know why, but he can't do that.
Just don't ask him to be the
even before then, it wasn't great.
He's a real McMillion.
That's why I love the costume for the Phantom. It covers up your pate.
Thank God. I need more of these.
It does make me wonder though, because he's not a terrible actor. He's just not a utility guy, like the thing that they say about Brad Pitt is that Brad Pitt is basically, he is a supporting actor with leading man good looks. Mm-hmm. And so, I'm wondering if maybe that might be the problem with Casper here. Although there it could be any number of reasons why he never, made that jump. Although what I'm thinking about now is like Clint Eastwood wasn't the actor he was until he got older, because he was too weirdly handsome when he was younger.
Yeah.
And then once he started getting some lines in his faces, they were like, that's our guy. And it maybe he has that kind of career, as he ages.
Yeah, I really think that he just needs to have that one good project to just pop him into the mainstream headlines again.
Yeah,
well, I think it's possible.
For a guy named Casper, he has been in more than one Casper the Friendly Ghost movie, so that's good for him.
He is the world's most famous Casper.
You think he's more famous than the Casper from Kids?
From Kids?
I thought you were Casper from Kids.
I thought you were going to go for the ghost, and you go.
I mean real Casper.
But he goes.
Oh, because that's just the name of the character from that movie, Kids.
He goes for Casper,
the Friendly Ghost, the dopest ghost around.
Yeah, don't do yourself a favor, kids. Don't live your life by him. That guy was he was
so good.
He was not, just don't, or look at it to see what not to do. Is
Dawson the only person still actually alive from that movie?
Live and functioning at a high professional level.
Yeah, that's right. Chloe is too. Yeah. That's right.
Sauvignon, is that her name?
Yeah. Chloe Sauvignon Blanc.
That's true.
No,
I forgot she's in that.
So who is a bigger star? Honestly, who's a bigger star, Lou Ferrigno or Casper Van Dien?
Oh man, that's a tough one. I would say probably Ferrigno, just because of longevity.
I think the Hulk connection, Ferrigno is a legend in his own way. Mm-hmm. And I'm sure there are some diehard Starship Trooper fans, but I'm just going to say, you're at Dragon Con, Casper Van Dien and Lou Ferrigno have a table next to each other. There's a much longer line for Lou Ferrigno.
And not only that, but Ferrigno has 2 television series, because he's got the Hulk and then he's on King of Queens.
Oh, man, I totally forgot about that.
And Casper Van Dien starts $85 for a signature. So, Lou Ferrigno.
And I don't know anything else he's in besides Starship Troopers.
Starship Troopers 3 or 4.
Mm-hmm. He actually...
A bunch of weird stuff that looks like it maybe was made by Asylum or Sci-Fi. And he was in a couple of Casper the Friendly Ghost movies. I wasn't lying about that.
But yeah, no,
he is.
I think he's actually out.
I didn't know that.
I think he's probably somebody that may have incurred some debt. I don't know. I don't know this. This is all just guessing based on the number of movies. He's credited 146 on IMDb right now. So
I'll say
it's
that
a lot. I think he has a ex-wife.
If your filmography is confused with the Bruce Leslie flavor of joke, that is a bad filmography, my friend.
So there's 2 other things I want to bring up about this movie. And Adam, we're going to have to brainstorm here, because this is more your jam.
Okay.
The soulless R&B music that is playing throughout this movie.
Oh boy.
I don't even know what to call it, because it is in the style of rhythm and blues, like modern rhythm and blues. like you're genuine, but it isn't. There isn't any soul in it. You know, it's like free use music.
Yeah, it feels like something that you would go through and say, all right, and Bruce knows this. Bruce has done this in the past. Here's $300. You can have this catalog full of crap.
Oh, absolutely.
Right.
That is exactly what this is. Either that, or if you don't have the $300 to spend on a year subscription or whatever, you just open up GarageBand and you can throw some loops together and make that real generic sound of music.
As long as you're good, because sometimes if like the ones that are smart these days will have a thing going sample during the music, so you can't do crap with it. You ding ding to sample. This is a sample. This is not for resale. You're like, Jesus, dude. All right, give me a break. I'm like, I can't hear the melody because of your stupid warning over it and everything. I'm not buying this. But no, the music overall is very terrible. Yes,
it's so terrible, in fact, that it brings attention to itself. Like that's how bad it is. And as I was watching it, because you just got to focus on anything. I was like, man, we need a good name for this style of music. And the best I could come up with was Rhythm and Board.
That's pretty good.
That's not bad.
Rhythm and Drool might work too, but yeah, Rhythm and Board is good.
Rhythm and Drool is what you do when you've got your music and you're doped out on heroin or something.
Rhythm and Bummer. That was another one, but Rhythm and Board was my favorite.
Yeah, I like that.
It's hard to beat that.
It's and I mean it's all template music. It seems like it's replacement stuff, like the stuff that you put in before you put your actual music in.
That's what I thought. Watching this whole thing, I'm like, this sounds like a temp track. They're like, we'll put something in here just so it doesn't seem like open and airy. There's something going on with the music. We'll replace it once we paid somebody to do the real proper score, and that money fell through or something. And they're like, well, we did pay for the royalty free license, so I guess we can use it. Sure.
So I've got a question for you guys. If you understand your lot in life, like I am Asylum Films, I understand that my job is, the only way I can feed my family is to make these mockbusters. I know it's gonna not be great, but I still want to do the best I can. What do you do to make this movie work as schlock? Like, what separates this Asylum from things like Full Moon and Trauma and some of the horror companies from the 80s and 90s.
Holy cow, was that me?
That was me. I just got a text from work.
I was like, I've never heard that sound before. I'm just like, I'm looking for a window or something going, what do I have open that's making this? Good.
I literally thought it was my ring. I did.
What were we talking about?
How do we fix this? So Bruce, there's basically three ways. One is that you get a director like what they did with the guy who talks like this. What's his name? He makes all of those very cheap movies.
Roger Corman.
That's a guy. Now that I hear it, now that I know what you're doing, that's a good Corman
right away. Yeah.
You go the Roger Corman route, where you hire really talented kids to work for basically free. And, you got your James Cameron. That's how you get all of these folks who really want to be great. And so they want to do the absolute best they can with what is available to them.
Your Joe Dantes, your Ron Howards.
Right. All of these folks,
Francis Ford Coppola.
There's so many. That's one way to do it. The second way to do it is, I mean, just imagine James Cameron as the director of this movie. It's going to be a lot better. The second way to do it is you do it the Trauma way, which is that you say to some kid, hey, I'm going to give you $50,000 to make a movie called The Grimm Avengers. That's right? I say Grimm Avengers.
Correct.
It's Grimm Avengers.
Yeah.
I'm going to give you $50,000 to make The Grimm Avengers. You've already got your cast. Here you go. You need to come up with the shot list. You need to come up with the locations. You need to come up with blah, 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 blah. Go. And that's basically the way that Trauma works. Then you've got this way, the Asylum way, which is, I don't know, because I don't know the ins and outs of Asylum, but I think that it basically goes like this. We need a movie that is not the Avengers, that is close enough to the Avengers that we can call it the Avengers. Mm-hmm. And we have no money. You have let's say $100,000 to make the entire thing yourself, and good luck to you. And you're doing it for free. And we saw your student film, and no one else picked you up. So here you go.
Yeah. Will you be able to work your butt off for this very, very low amount of money?
Right. So basically you've got all hired guns. You've got people working for nothing making this movie. And you know that's the case because all the props are terrible. Like here's one for instance for you. When Rumpelstiltskin comes in at the beginning of the movie and he throws down the king's crown, and it looks like,
oh man,
it looks like the king might have been one of the founding members of the Burger King Kids Club.
It's a little nicer, but not by much.
I was thinking Party City. Like that's a crown you get at Party City for New Year's.
Exactly.
Yeah. And that's how you know that the people who are working on this just need to get it done. There's no craft. There's no care.
I'll have a little tiny bit of pushback on that. At least as far as from a cinematography standpoint, it's not terrible. It's very serviceable for what it is. It looks like a high-end CW show.
Everything is flat. What are you talking about?
I'm just talking about like from they lit this thing pretty well. Like there's a lot of like.
It's also the curse of modern day is like you can just take the camera on your iPhone and you're going to get a much better looking image than if you had an actual like 16 millimeter camera that you paid a lot of money for to shoot your independent film in 1985.
Well,
that's just like the curse
and
of
they shot
modernity.
this on red. So like, you know,
right. And that's what I'm trying to say to you, Adam, is that like, there's no depth of field to this, to this movie. There's like, literally they're doing the barest of minimum, like you said at the top of the show, where they're shooting through chain link fence.
But I understand a little bit more about cinematography than I used to. Not much, but a little bit more. And I'd say the fact that there's no depth of field is probably because people were having trouble staying on their marks and the block great.
Well, yeah,
so really
we gotta have full
the
depth.
background out of focus because you had no clue where people were going to be, so they couldn't use the right lens for that.
Yo, let me get
They'd
that.
have a big aperture is what I'm saying, not a small aperture.
That Citizen Kane. No, you were right the first time. It's the other way around.
Yeah.
But yeah, I can definitely see that. But the thing, I guess, lighting is really more my.
I understand what you're saying about the lighting because they do go hog wild on the lighting because there's no the location is like a black box theater.
Yeah, it's absolutely boring. There's nothing going on, so we split. And this is 2015, so this is before an Aries skylight, which is like the new thing that costs like $5,000 a light now, but are like pretty amazing.
but even then you're using area equipment and you can use it well to the point where like how about we use some bounce here instead of just direct light to ground?
Oh yeah, there's a lot of that stuff and a lot of just like splash it on that wall.
Yes. There's a whole lot of
put
that
a red
stuff
gel
happening.
on it, it's fine.
But again, it's because they probably had a week to shoot this movie. And so the entire movie is just shot as, look, we need to get to 90 minutes. Let's make sure we're on the ground running. Let's get this thing done.
And they did. They got it. They got to the credits.
They sure did. They sure did.
They get hell or high water. They got there, and
the problem is the biggest problem I have with this movie is that it's not fun. There's nothing fun about this movie at all. And with the Russian Avengers movie, that movie is nothing but fun for me. Like to me, I had such a good time watching that versus this. It feels like the dumb kids in class made a movie.
Yeah. I while watching this, I was just like, it's one of those, this is either like the least, professionally done Hollywood film or the most professionally done student film. You know what I mean? It's like, it's right in that center where it's just like, if you were just like, hey, this is our student feature film and everything, you'd be like, that's not too shabby. Film school, you're just learning, getting in there, not too shabby. But if you're like, I'm a 25-year veteran and that's what you put out, we start to raise an eyebrow.
I like that. Yes. After 40 years of studying the greats, I give you my magnum opus.
The Avengers Grimm. Huh? Cricket. No thanks. But ultimately, I think it's. Oh, what'd you guys think about the Wolf?
Oh my Lord!
AKA just a wrestler who just absolutely sucks. We kind of half dress him like Kraven the Hunter in a weird way.
He looks more like Zangief to me.
That's true.
From Street Fighter.
They dub in. There's all these ADR growling sounds in there, and it's so bad.
How about the ADR of every time Lou Ferrigno is now actually Iron John, where you hear the squeaks of metal every time he moves.
It's like sometimes, okay. In film school, we had this thing, and it's all about sound design, what I'm talking about here. We would do the thing, and there would be some kids who wanted to try some sound design and stuff. So when people are walking through a hallway, they'll put footsteps. But these are new film students. They don't really know too much about, hey, you got to calibrate that stuff, my dog. So like these people are walking through a scene, and it's just boom, 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 boom. I'm like, bro, you got to turn that down so it's almost imperceptible. You know what I'm saying? And the same thing goes for Ferrigno and the metal thing. If you had that kind of stuff just really on the down low where you don't quite hear it and you almost think, is that what I'm hearing? That's when you've done a good job. No good job here.
No.
And it looks like he's sweating so hard underneath that.
Oh, poor guy.
I thought the bald cap was good to begin with, and then as you could see, and my guess is when I thought it was good was probably at the beginning of the day of the shooting day.
Yes, when they started, it looked great.
I'm like,
by the end
this
of
looks
the
pretty good.
second day, they're just like, good God.
You can see the back of the head starting to crinkle up, and you're like, oh, this is not good. And I love that, like, what a stupid outfit he's wearing. It's just like, well, we gotta show him in as metally as we can possibly get him. Take this plaid shirt and cut off the arms so his guns can be out. What a weird choice. It also felt like it came from Lou Ferrigno's house.
It also it looks like it looks like paint that you would see somebody in a club wearing.
Yeah, like a not even a good mime.
No,
crap mime. No good.
The other thing that I wanted to bring up is, how did you guys see this movie?
On a 60-inch high definition television.
But I mean, where did you see it?
Tubi.
Yeah, me too. I saw it on Tubi. Did you see it on Tubi, Bruce?
Maybe Bruce had to step out.
I think Bruce had to step out.
I will say this, though. Tubi is at least nice enough to give me commercial breaks. It's like you actually enjoy commercial breaks.
I literally wrote the note. I have never been happier to see conservative campaign commercials more than throughout me watching this movie.
I think Liberty Mutual does have something in mind for me. Where's my phone?
It is I don't know who owns Tubi, but it is clearly a conservative channel. And that's fine.
I think they're trying to sway you. I didn't get any of those ads.
Oh man, that's all I got.
All of mine for like Lou Nestor or some crap. Maybe they're like, go to sleep.
Everybody, if I were to believe the commercials, everybody hates the Republican governor of Georgia, and they want a more Trumpy governor of Georgia.
I'll say this: it's probably, and this is probably smart on Tubi's part, is that it's very locally oriented and stuff like that. So they see the IP address and feed you different ads. I'll bet you money hey, good for you, Tubi. That's a smart. That's you can charge more for that essentially.
That's true. So, that's true. That's some good tech.
They're doing all right over there at the Tubi land. But ultimately, you're right. Like this movie, it's like you're actively pushing against it the entire time.
Yes.
Like even if you want to like it and try to like,
I wanted to so bad. I wanted this movie to be Russian Avengers. Like I wanted to be like, man, they did it again. Like great. And it's definitely not that. It is not only is it not in like there is not an ounce of artistic merit to this thing. There's not even like there's not even like winky fun.
No, there's not. I don't know that there's one joke in this movie.
I think that there are. There's all of those fairy tale puns that are in this.
Good
thing.
Jokes. Puns aren't jokes. People, go ahead and write me. HearMoviePodcast@gmail.com.
But yet again, but that's the whole point I'm trying to make here is that like you don't have anyone who cares about this at all. There's not a single person who worked on this thing who's like, this is I am going to do my absolute best to make sure that this movie is the best it can possibly be. There's not a single person on the show who did that.
Nobody's walking around going, "Ooh, this gonna be look good on my reel."
Right.
Yeah.
There's nobody who is like trying to make the jump. And I've worked on a lot. Well,
yeah. So
never mind.
I want to read a little bit just because I found it funny. On the Asylum's Wikipedia page, there's a section called Lawsuits and Legal Issues. I want to read it real quick here. In 2008, 20th Century Fox threatened legal action against the Asylum over The Day the Earth Stopped, a film capitalizing on the day the Earth stood still. Similarly, in May 2012, Universal Pictures filed a lawsuit against the Asylum for their American Battleship, claiming infringement on their film Battleship. As a result, the Asylum changed their title to American Warships. In 2013, Warner Brothers, New Line Cinema, Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer, and The Hobbit producer Saul Zaentz commissioned the legal action against the Asylum for their Age of the Hobbits, later called Lord of the Elves, claiming that they were quote-unquote free-riding on the worldwide phenomenal campaign for Peter Jackson's forthcoming films. The Asylum claimed its film is legally sound because its hobbits are not based on J.R.R. Tolkien's creations. The lawsuit resulted in a temporary restraining order preventing the Asylum from releasing the film on its scheduled release date. So that's the Asylum for you, everybody. They're top notch over there. Well, before we get to our Robin rating system here and everything, we do have to ask ourselves one very important question: is how does this awesome Asylum movie relate back 1-to-1 with Sylvester Stallone?
Why, thank you, Adam. I have a prepared statement.
Oh.
Glory be to thee, Mr. Stallone. I'm writing you today to let you know how you're connected to this movie, Avengers Grimm. You see, in 2017, you were in a movie called Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, a movie that everyone seems to have forgotten, and in my opinion, the most underrated of all Marvel movies. Not only because you're in it, but also because the end of this movie has a twister that not only satisfies, but moves. If you'll give me a second, Mr. Stallone, I'm going to press the cough button for a second.
He's having a
And
heart
I'm
attack.
back. You played Stacker Ogord. And you know who else was in that underrated gem? Mylan Sarley. That's right. The lady who played Cinderella herself in Avengers Grimm. She happens to be in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. She plays the role of robot prostitute. Everyone has to start somewhere, and in 2010, Mylan got her start in something called Street Fighter High, the musical. She's in Angry Video Game Nerd, the movie, where she plays the role of Hot Chick. And she's in something called Mega Shark versus Colossus, which is what I'd like to talk to you about today. You probably know nothing about this movie, so here's the plot summary. In search of a new energy source, Russia accidentally reawakens the Colossus, a giant robot doomsday device from the Cold War. At the same time, a new mega shark appears, threatening global security. I had no idea that there were 4 different mega shark movies. There's this one, then Mega Shark versus Mecha Shark, Mega Shark versus Giant Octopus, and Mega Shark versus Crocosaurus. Mr. Stallone, if you were wondering if Jaleel White is in Mega Shark versus Crocosaurus, the answer is yes. But back to Mega Shark versus Colossus. A post-plastic surgery, Ileana Douglas is first billed in the movie, and we will probably never be seeing her in anything ever again. Ernest Thomas is also billed. He brings to life the role of Admiral Titus Jackson. Now, that name might not mean much to most people until they learn that he's the actor who played Raj on What's Happening.
Oh, yeah.
So this sucker has some star power. And I know you're already asking yourself the big question. So before you ask, the answer is yes. Colossus does throw Mega Shark into space so it can be shot with a space laser. Now, Mr. Stallone, if that isn't enough to wet your whistle, let me go to the most reliable source who prefers to be named the Doofy on IMDb user reviews. I will be reading this person's review now. 2 out of 10 stars. Not true to the Mega Shark cult classic. The makers of this movie don't understand why Mega Shark makes it into cult classic status in such a short period of time. First of all, there are cleavage bimbies who actually live in this movie. Such characters living in Mega Shark is a crime against God. Mega Shark gets taken down, sort of. Nothing takes down true Mega Shark, not nukes, not bimbies, nothing. One thing the movie does do is make the size of Mega Shark a sliding ruler. To very large to absolutely ginormous in true Mega Shark movie style. Another big mistake is classifying Mega Shark. The real Mega Shark needs no classification. Mega Shark is the only classification necessary.
Is my classification.
So at the end of the day, the makers of this movie have very little comprehension of what a Mega Shark movie is. This thing is more Hollywood in nature and script. 2 out of 10 stars. And there you have it, Mr. Stallone. Your connection this week is Mylan Sarley. I hope to hear from you soon. Your pal, Sweet Shawnsy from the internet. And the reason why I chose this one for the IMDb user review is literally the line, first of all, there are cleavage bimbies who actually live in this movie. What a weird sentence.
And to accuse Asylum of being Hollywood's sellouts. Something glorious about that. It's just like, listen.
Yeah, the doofy, they are willing to sell out in a second. It just really hasn't happened.
Yeah.
That's why they exist.
Oh, I grew up very punk rock. I don't know that I would be like, oh, Asylums, that's the man right there is what that is.
Oi.
Well, over here at Hero Movie Podcast, we have our own patented Robin rating system. If you'd like to check that out, head on over to the subreddit, reddit.com/r/Hero Movie Podcast. But before we do ours, I want to talk about what our supporters over at patreon.com/HMP thought about the Grimm Avengers. Our good old buddy Matthew says, it's a Stephanie Brown. It's a movie that definitely exists, but is not the worst film out there. I haven't seen Casper Van Dien in a long time. Man, if he still look good though. I think I'm about to grant him a possible vampire status.
Oh wow!
Think about it. Like,
yeah, he's not wrong. He does not
slow.
look his age. He doesn't look his age.
Slowly aging that guy. Tim says, movies like this are why Stephanie Brown rating exists. Failed at the phone test in about 45 seconds.
Oof.
The acting and production value made me feel like it was always about to turn into a Skinamax porn parody.
Mm-hmm.
The fart rock was strong with this one. Cute little movie, but I've already forgotten everything about it. And then Nate comes in and says, I came here to say what Tim did. I kept forgetting what this movie was about while I was watching it. Or maybe it just wasn't ever that clear. Also, I was not expecting Rumpelstiltskin to be a super duper handsome, and my only enjoyment was when Ferrigno's Iron John acted angry. But then I felt bad for laughing at a deaf guy. Nate, I don't know how purposeful a lot of the things that Lou did here, but it beats me. I don't know if we're getting Bruce back or not. He's indisposed. But Sean, what do you give Avengers Grimm on the Rotten
I hate
ratings?
this movie so much. This to me is the worst thing we've ever seen. Like when you think of all the bad movies that we've seen, and we've seen so many bad ones. This is the worst one to me because there's just nothing fun about it at all. You can't even revel in its badness because it's just so bland. And with the exception of the goodwill that Lou Ferrigno garners, there is nothing in this movie that makes you go, oh, at least there's that.
Yeah. It's not like, oh, but the soundtrack is just really kicking and or something like that. Even
something or like a scene, a moment, a line.
Yeah, the whole thing sucks, but there's this one fight on a rooftop or something that is really awesome. But no, they're all kind of generic fight scenes that frankly you forget. Like they're literally fighting in the LA River, and some of these feel like they're stolen for sure.
Yeah. Yes, and they definitely did steal a bunch of stuff, but they had to.
But they also lit it well enough to where it didn't look like they were completely stealing it for Freezy. You know what I'm saying?
Well, right.
They just had a couple of lights there instead of just shooting with all natural light and stuff. So like they tried a little bit, which is good.
So to me, this is a Jason Todd. It's the worst movie we've ever seen. At least the one that of what I remember, this is the worst movie we've ever seen.
Oh, I certainly wouldn't go so far as to say that. It's not
What's
good.
worse than this movie?
I'll go back through the archives. We'll do it in the after show. But there's some stuff that's worse than this. But it's not good. I think I agree with the Patreon folks who actually have all of the ones that have voted as of this recording. Everybody's kind of picked Stephanie Brown, and that's where I'm going to go with it because it's not so egregious that I spit on the ground if I hear its name mentioned or something like that. But I'm sure not going to be going to watch it again. No. But and maybe at some point under the gun of Patreon, we'll watch it. There are 2 more of these for God's sakes. 2.
Yes.
Holy
yes.
cow!
Yes.
So we're gonna need a lot more people over at Patreon if you're gonna want that. So Patreon.com/HMP, get them in there. But seriously, we thank you guys for choosing all of those. To be honest, the voting this month, we weren't getting out of this good in any way, shape, or form. So
no, it's true.
I think we'd had it too good for a while too, that we also wanted to kind of punish ourselves a little bit. It's like, we had Batman and we had this thing, and we got other stuff coming up with the Moon Knight coming up, and we need something crappy. And boy, oh boy, did this ever deliver on that. For Bruce, I'm going to say he said it's Stephanie Brown too. I don't know why, or at least maybe a Damian Wayne with him, because I don't know. We'll get his official answer next week and everything. That is it, everybody. Join us next week when we're talking about Morbius. That's right. That vampire man is back.
Finally, something good.
Yeah.
So we're finally going to be talking about something great.
Like I said, you have those waves and stuff, You get the first wave that hits you that's called Avengers Grimm, and you're like, oh, God, I've been knocked down a little bit, but it's no worries. You stand right back up, and that sweet, sweet Morbius wave is coming in, and you're going to catch that bad boy and ride it all the way back to the surf. It's good stuff. Go ahead, Morbius, everybody. It's got to be good. It took 3 years for them to put it out. That means that they've polished it and made sure that
means it's really, really great.
Completely an awesome, great thing. I said this too to somebody else at work. I said, in the amount of time that this movie has actually been done, they could have shot an entire Vulture subplot that they could have put into this, and it would have worked. I don't know. I don't think he's in it for more than what we see in the trailer, to be quite frank. But anyways, we'll talk about all of that kind of good stuff next week. So please stay subscribed for that. Sean, what else?
We have a show that starts next week called Moon Knight 30 Questions. Please listen to that. And then after that, we're going to be doing Kenobi 30 Questions.
Ooh, boy, let me tell you, it is an exciting time to be a comic book nerd. Who thought we would have all of this crap at our disposal all of the time? It's kind of a wild and crazy world. And we're glad that you guys come along with us for this ride. For the absent Bruce Leslie, Sweet Chauncey Kovacs from the internet, my name's Adam Borges. Stay super, everybody.
Bye, Marty and Edie.
This was a triumph. I'm making a note here, huge success. It's hard to overstate my satisfaction. Aperture science. We do what we must because we can. For the good of all of us, except the ones who are dead. But there's no sense crying over every mistake. You just keep on trying till you run out of cake. And the science gets done and you make a neat gun for the people who are still alive. I'm not even angry. I'm being so sincere right now. Even though you broke my heart and killed me and tore me to pieces, Lisa. That was a joke, haha, that chance. Anyway, this cake is great. It's so delicious and moist.